Trader's chicken.
One day. According to Texas. National Association of Construction. Fort Aransas. EMS.
Non-compliant for corrective solutions to address. Expression judgment. Right. First and only reading on provisions of Chapter 334. So in front of you is the first and only reading calling for the project election. You have a handout here because we corrected the name. It refers to the project name, and you'll notice in the packet it referred to it as incorrectly in the proposition language in the back. The Fort Aransas Sports Complex, but that's really not the Fort Aransas Civic and Community Center. So that was corrected in several spots of so just for the record. And it's corrected in the handout at your seat. And I believe the election would be November. It's the 4th. Yeah.
Did comptroller sign off on this?
Yes, comptroller did sign off on it. Yes. So I think you guys approved the comptroller letter at the June meeting. It went to the comptroller, was approved by him. And then the election has to be called by August 18th. So we're under the deadline. But add 2% to the hotel occupancy tax rate. Any other questions regarding that motion or the ordinance change? Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve adopting an ordinance of project election.
Second? I'll second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, Fran, please call the roll. Yes.
Councilor Chambers,
Yes.
Chairperson Tucker,
Yes.
Councilor Christensen,
Yes.
Councilor Schmidt,
Yes.
Yes.
motion carried.
Right, item B, approving a change order number 1 for the Beach Access Road 1B from Urban DCCM Engineers in the total amount of $162,771.38 for the State Highway 361 turn lane addition, and authorize the city manager to sign all documents associated with said change.
Yeah, so we discussed this at the last meeting. So part of the process for TxDOT was the requirement to put in a turn lane as you're coming in northbound. So adding that turn lane on the shoulder there. And the project's well underway, so they're making good progress.
Any questions? Regarding the change order? We have a motion.
Motion approved, change order number one. Road 1B from Urban CDM Engineers in total amount of $162,771.38. Authorized city manager to sign all documents associated with said change.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, Fran, please call the roll.
Yes.
Councilmember Owens,
Yes.
Councilmember Fruiter,
Yes. Yes.
motion carries.
All right, item C, first reading amending chapter 16, planning and development, article 3, coastal management plan, division 2, administration, section 161117, beach user. Reading and effective date.
I have no idea what we're even talking about.
The $50 thing. And the,
No, I didn't.
oh, that's not
No,
yours?
it was on the agenda.
Oh.
Well, it was on the agenda.
Oh, Daria will do it.
Okay.
Like, not me.
It's
planning and development.
It's more judge-
It's all right, it's
Yeah,
more
it's more
judgy.
court,
Yeah.
So this was found when we had some attorneys looking, possibly gonna bring something to you on the 20th for collecting, old tickets. And they wanted to review our ordinances first, and they saw contradictory in two different places where it states that the fine for no beach parking permit is $50. And
Which you never want in your codes. You don't want
Yeah.
fines in your ordinances.
that's up to the judge
Right,
to determine. It's his option.
It's not $50 better than.
And it's not $50
Right.
anymore. We charge more than that.
But we have
So-
two chapters in Paco that say it's $50. So we want to get rid of it.
So we want to
Clean
get
it
rid of it. So the language to get rid of that, we're, for any person who fails to comply, and then mount order by the municipal court judge of the city, which will be vague language because it's his to set. And both items, this item and the next item, are the same. It's just in two different places. So that's what it is.
Okay. Where's the next one?
It's C and D, item C and
It's
D.
gonna be.
Yeah, one's
C.
Oh,
chapter
okay.
16 and one's in chapter 27.
C's chapter 16, D's chapter 27.
We need to do two different.
Yeah, I do too.
Okay. All right, so regarding the language in chapter 16, is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the first reading of an ordinance amending chapter 16, planning and development, article 3, coastal management plan, division 2, administration, section 16-117, beach user fees.
Second. All right, any further discussion? Hearing none, Fran, please call the roll.
Councilmember Owens,
Yes.
Councilmember Schneider,
Yes.
Councilmember Chambers,
Yes.
Councilmember Christensen,
Yes.
Councilmember Fruiter,
Yes.
Mayor Tim Crawford,
Yes.
Mayor Moore.
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right, item D, ordinance, first reading amending chapter 27, public beach, article 3, traffic, division 2, vehicle beach permits, beach user fees, section 27-452, failure to have vehicle permit and providing for seventh reading and effective date. So basically, this, what you heard Darla explain, we need to take it out of chapter 27 as well. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the first reading of an ordinance amending chapter 27, public beach, article 3, traffic, division 2, vehicle beach permits, beach user fees, section 27-452, failure to have a vehicle permit.
Second. All right, any further discussion? Okay, hearing none, Fran, please call the roll.
Councilmember Christensen,
Yes.
Councilmember Chambers,
Yes.
Councilmember Fruiter,
Yes.
Councilmember Owens,
Yes.
Councilmember Schneider,
Yes.
Mayor Tim Crawford,
Yes.
Mayor Moore.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Right, item E is a resolution approving and amending the current city manager employment agreement and authorizing the mayor to sign said agreement.
So, this was put on the agenda as discussed because I know when the review was done, we did not make adjustments at that time when we were going to do it at budget time. So that is why this is on the agenda.
Is this a salary increase or actual employment agreement? This one's from 2020. Did we sign a new one?
There'll be a new.
Probably the agreement because he does have a contract. But the salary is what y'all had stated you were going to adjust. And right now I have in the budget at 3%, which is what we had everyone at, except for the officers are on a different scale. So whatever y'all adjust, it will be adjusted in the budget.
Okay, this is his original employment agreement from 2013, correct?
It changed a little bit. I think it's
Changed a little bit.
2021.
I know it was modified in
Yeah,
21.
modified. in 21.
But this is the employment agreement, the original, because the section that, I mean, I think our only intent was discuss his pay increase, his compensation. We have changed his compensation in the past without doing anything to the employment agreement.
Correct.
So I have a question as to, are we specifically going to change section 3 so that it states any new agreed compensation? Or does someone feel legally that the compensation agreement needs to be modified? Because we've made adjustments.
Yeah.
He's had adjustments to his employment agreement since 2013. So
Yes.
why are we doing this action instead of just giving him a pay increase? And I'm asking honestly.
I think originally it was done by because of the new law.
There is a new law out there, if you make changes after September 1, the new law requires you to go down to 6 months, 5 months of severance pay. So if anything that's amended after September 1st, you would have to follow those new regulations. So,
Before September 1st, we should be fine.
yes, and we've already talked to the attorney and making an amendment to fine with the agreement the way it stands. This is the time if y'all wanted to add additional, like a cell phone allowance or vehicle allowance, you could add that as well because it's not in the agreement. So I wasn't sure exactly what was wanting to be added. If it was just the salary rates or if you wanted to add additional compensation.
Okay. I know inside the packet was some examples of other position salaries for other city managers in the surrounding areas, which is always good because we've been provided that in the past to be able to see the comparable annual salaries and compensation packages, not only for people in our area, but for people with similar jurisdictions, if you will, or territories or areas. I don't know how much time the rest of council has had to review that information. I don't know if anyone has some suggested proposed changes. Thank you for the clarification, Fran, on why we were actually seeing his employment agreement. That makes more sense because, again, I know we take action before on income, but not had to actually modify the agreement. So,
We could punt to the 20th if you guys want.
well, I mean, that's why I'm asking. I don't know how much time people have had to review.
Yeah.
I think that it is something that we need to consider. And so if y'all want to do it today, we can. If not, we can talk about it next Wednesday at our regular council meeting during the budget agenda item. Or have it as an agenda item again, and then there'll actually be some proposals, if y'all thought some proposals, or if someone's ready to make a recommendation, we can do that now. If we only modify his salary, we do not have to do anything to the actual agreement. Okay. So that could be the action, is if we want to only set a pay increase for his salary, then we can do that, leaving the agreement alone. Otherwise, if there are some other things y'all want to change, we can.
Kind of my first time into this part. Is there any
ask once, means obviously. Cost of living adjustment for sure. But sounds like someone's taken care of, is there? Any other pieces of it?
I know it was last year that we gave him a raise. He hadn't, no, it was
No,
the year
last year.
before. Okay.
Yeah.
He hadn't taken a raise, I don't think, since right after, or right around the hurricane.
He's never asked for
He's
it.
never
I'd like a mileage gas allowance from to and from my house.
$2.
1.7
Why ride the
miles.
bicycle? No, I just wanted
That may
Chad to
not
kind of
be-
know
Yeah, sure,
that
absolutely.
story on.
Yeah, and,
We gave
and
them a 25% raise at that time. Isn't that what it was?
What was the increase? Darla?
There was a 25% in 23. So he was at 146, 146, went to 182, 702. And then last year was the same as everyone else at
Right, just
197.
before her.
Yeah.
Went to 197, 642. The current. But as you see in the,
Is resignation in section 12B the same as retirement?
And which
would
one,
be
12,
Yeah.
12 what? 12B, 13B?
13.
I think that would be different.
I think it would be the same.
yeah, a voluntary resignation would be
Thirty
taking
days.
the retirement from his office.
Right.
And he could give more notice, I guess.
That's required.
I think we should make you give 6 months.
6 years.
I mean, I
6 years.
I mean, that's a big deal.
Yeah. He's been here 20-something years.
Well.
This is,
As a city, I want more than 30 days from a key person such as Dave. or his history.
I think our personal policy is 30 days for department directors and civil.
Put in a contract.
I would
If
agree
it's
with
getting
that.
looked at, when we've done this in the past, when I looked at the contract, I thought, oh, we're looking at everything.
That gives us, yeah, 0 time to prepare.
Put 180 days in.
I just, the council, I'm just.
Don't push for the date.
What?
So don't push for the date yet. We keep trying to
I know,
make it work.
I just, since it's there. in
Why don't
front
you
of me-
guys sleep on this one? Let's just come back to it on the 20th instead of trying to,
No, but it's something to think about, given that
it's just, it's all this.
and where we are in 2025.
24 months or what?
Yes.
I don't want them backdating anything.
I mean, honestly, I would hate to have any department head give only 30
30
days. And I
days.
get that, and I
Right.
get legally that's what, the minimum is, but yeah, it's hard to find anybody in any kind of position that has great authority. So I would
That's
love
me
to
being
have that be
selfish.
longer.
That's me being
I
selfish,
don't think it's selfish. I think it's reasonable. Yes, for sure.
just
Absolutely.
now that it's here.
so maybe we need to have a little bit.
Or for us to think about for the next month.
Then on the salary part, 3% thrown out there, it's been 2 years. And boy, is that?
No, I got 3% last year.
Yeah.
Okay, I thought
They
that-
all the department.
Everybody
Yeah.
got the 3%.
Last year we had that.
Yeah,
We did
it
the
was
pay
longer.
scale
It was a pay scale.
It was a pay scale adjustment. We gave the department directors the same as the pay scale adjustment of 8.17. Because we did not get one the year before to that extent in inflation. And we needed to attract employees, and so we adjusted the pay scale last year.
And we haven't done a deep dive in that like we've had in the past, because we didn't have a good proposal for any of that this year. So if you would like additional time, and I think that's fine, to review and kind of study the way that governmental pay scales and bumps work is a little bit different than corporate America and anybody's kind of normal practice. So,
I tend to err to the side of more.
no,
And know we
sure.
have security in the position.
Sure, sure.
They get 2.2%, hope you stick around.
Right.
They probably won't stick around. It's at the same time, South Parker is paying a little better. So,
Okay, so what would council like? To come up with some suggestions and discuss it next Wednesday? Think about it more? Okay,
Sounds like.
all right. Can we table that discussion? Y'all in agreement to table until next Wednesday?
Sure.
Yes.
Okay, all right, let's do that. And then if you have questions specifically about historical pay rates or other municipalities outside of our community, which is, to me, very helpful to look at that. I know Darla has done a lot of research and can get that for everyone.
Yeah, that's okay. Yeah.
There's a little
That was
bit, but
good, yeah.
she's provided others in the past.
Looking at population alone doesn't.
No.
a real clear answer on anything.
100%.
We were 100,000 last
Larger
week.
city.
Yeah.
What was our
But now you want to
population
take the population.
No, and if there's other cities that y'all think are comparable to us, South Padre is most comparable to us, in my opinion, but, because they're the biggest tourists, because Galveston is also, but it has a bigger population besides.
I know the report you gave us 2 years ago when we did give him the considerable increase to get him kind of more on par with other communities was helpful. So even if we could pull that sheet back out, I know it won't be current, but it was like a whole page on Starla. And I mean, a lot of the cities weren't similar, but it was maybe something you got from TML or
Even T-Mail, we'll work together with the HR department
kind of see something.
and see something.
But what you did provide was good, so I appreciate that. All right. So then we'll go ahead and move on to item F, which is a presentation, general discussion, and possible action on the city of Port Aransas proposed fiscal year 2025-2026 budget.
Go for it. Start with, you did all the work. All right.
So, you received your budgets, I handed them out on Friday, and, kind of has the same structure as it has had in years past. And we tried to focus on the letter that's there in the front, kind of explaining through fund by fund. We can kind of go through that, or if you'd like to go through the individual funds and departments, we can do that also. But I think it's a good budget. I think we went through the council goals workshop and looked at the items that y'all had wanted and items that different departments had wanted. And I think we addressed most of them. Some things were left out, but I think most of them were addressed. Of course, the capital projects for Hurricane Harvey, the public safety, fire EMS, and public works facility are our last 3 buildings. They're all under contract. They're all moving forward. We're still going to have some large technology needs for both the public safety and the fire EMS station. Public works is not going to have as big of technology needs, and it doesn't have to come all from the budget, from the general fund. It has the luxury of using some beach fund money. Several years we've discussed construction of the new animal shelter. We have 1.2 million in for the A&E and started construction for that building. It'll take us a while to get to the contract for having that. We need construction documents and everything before you can go out to bid. And we're a while away from that. We haven't gotten the final approval from GLO for the location either. So we did not put the cost of the entire animal shelter in there because we would not be able to expend all those funds before September 30th. So we only have 1.2 million in. This budget is built at the no new revenue rate. The tax rate would increase up to 20.16. This year we're at 0.191962. But that is not a tax increase. And if you stayed at that rate of 20.1612, you're not even required to have a public hearing on the tax rate. You don't advertise as an increase to the tax rate. Rate's going higher, but it's not a tax increase. And our values for the certification, the appraisal roll, it was almost exactly flat. Last year was 5,958,000,000. This year was 5,947,000,000. Dropped a little, but there's still some under protest. The following new positions are funded in this year's budget: an additional city maintenance person, additional city custodian, an additional court clerk, police, the 3 officers, a patrol sergeant, a patrol officer, and a training officer, a full-time parking code enforcement officer for beach and city parking. The majority of that is budgeted out of the beach. The street maintenance worker and street equipment operator for the new Vector truck, and beach maintenance worker and beach equipment operator. So that would increase both the street crews and the beach crews, and those are the new positions that are added in this budget. The city pay scale and the police officer pay structure do not have any adjustments in the base. However, since we're on a step and grade system, if you're not maxed out for your position, then you will get a 3% increase. If you are maxed out, then you do not get a 3% increase. Right now, the department directors, actually it's just 2, it's myself and the chief of police and the city manager. Those are the only 3 employees not on the pay scale. And right now, this budget is built with a 3% adjustment for those positions. Funds are budgeted for, we're already under contract for the City Hall and the Civic Center, so the completion of those projects are in this budget, along with quite a few technology needs that is going to bring. So then we can go through highlights of each fund, and if you want to get deeper into each fund, just let me know. Any questions? The general fund, if we spent every penny, we didn't collect any more revenue, we spent every penny that is budgeted, we would be dipping into reserves for a total of 7.5 million, leaving an estimate of 8.419 million, which is right at our 6 months of reserve. Consequently, gives us 179 days. 6 months is really 183 days. We're just 4 days short. It's not met that the funds in the budget of large capital items will not be needed in future budgets. And that is assuming you stay at 100% personnel level, and there aren't any open positions, and there's always open positions. We did leave the assistant city manager position in the administration budget, but we really only budgeted for 6 months. We're not actively looking for anyone right now, and if we were, it takes a while to fill those positions. So we only have it at 6 months right now, but it is still in there. Best practice really just recommends 3 months of reserves for governments, but we go for 6 months just because of our susceptibility to tropical storm events, which are not ever going to happen again in our lifetime. The revenue estimates used in this budget, at the budget goals workshop, there was discussion about adjusting the STR registration, and we did go ahead and dial that into this budget because it sounded like there was a pretty strong appetite for that. So what we did, we just came up with something. It would be up to y'all whatever you do, but what we did is we dialed in a stair-step registration fee by number of bedrooms. This is probably even more conservative than y'all might end up doing, but if they had 1 to 2 bedrooms, we had a $200 registration fee, 3 to 4 bedrooms, $400 registration fee, and 5+ bedrooms, $600 registration fee.
You could just do $100 a room also. That's
Yeah,
what
I
we
mean,
talked about before.
Yeah, we just went
If you
with,
really wanted to simplify it.
we just went with some type of flag to get something in the budget and show you what dollar, but it makes a big difference. This year we had 540,000 budgeted. We collected 591,000. Just with this structure, it's about 1.2 million. A
A little
big
more than
difference.
doubles.
A little more than doubles. So this budget does have an adjustment for that registration dollar into it. So if you want to keep
If
the
you didn't
revenue
do that,
estimate,
what would our 6 month drop down to? 4? Or
yeah,
no,
but
no,
it drops it by about 600,000, so.
probably 5.
Or.
It means we'd be making some cuts.
Yes.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, you'd be making more cuts.
We'd have to make.
To general fund.
To general fund,
general
because
fund.
that's a general fund dollar. So, I mean, I think that is important to recognize, and I think it's something I hope everyone understands, that that's a very significant piece to our general fund dollar that we can use for some of these department requests that have come in. I mean, it's gonna go in the general fund, which, you know, the majority of the general fund goes towards fire, EMS, police, personnel, right? People to take care of all of us every single day. So that's a pretty big piece that we're able to do something with. So I appreciate the estimate that they gave. I think that, you know, I would like to see by next Wednesday a more dialed in number, and I know it's a budget, so it, you know, whatever, but Nicole, as far as the number of units, we have the data to be able to say how many one bedroom units, how many 2 bedroom units, right? So I'm fine with simplicity, right, of saying, you know, 1 to 2 bedrooms, $100, which would actually be a decrease from what they're paying now, right? So right now they pay 175. So if we say 1 to 2 bedrooms go down to 100, then that's a decrease on the smaller units. I would imagine that's not the majority of the units that we probably have under registration, but it would be nice to know if we decided to keep it at that structure, the additional revenue that you've proposed. Although if we felt like we wanted to say $100 per bedroom, right? So maybe some of these, and I know we don't have a lot of 7 and 8 bedrooms, but then 7 and 8 bedroom units are paying $700 or $800. I mean, as a short-term rental management company or a homeowner who registers their property, it's probably very easy to understand that ordinance or interpretation. You pay a flat rate, or you pay a flat rate per bedroom, right? Because that could be even a significantly more piece of income we're adding to the bottom line. Now, the difficult part is, I think we have to make the decision. I mean, that would not be effective until January. So all that budget expense necessarily wouldn't or couldn't necessarily come. I mean, moving money around, but that's a 2026 number.
It is a 2026 number, but the way we built the budget, it
Should be fine, right?
Yeah.
But
it would just mean that you dip underneath what you've set as your policy for reserves. If you pass those to the budget and then did not adjust your
and originally
registration fees.
when Darla was getting the budget together earlier last week, and you know, she had it together, it wasn't 6 months worth of reserves. And I personally, after been doing this a long time, I like to know that we have at least 6 months, because after sitting through Harvey, it was really nice to be able to sit here as a city council, not knowing what our general fund balances were going to be, and 100% knowing that our hotel motel tax and sales tax revenue, that is a whole nother piece of our budget, right? This is general fund, that's over here, was going to be significantly less. So it was good to know that we weren't going to have to let people go, you know, or all the horrible things that you think about when you have a city that has possibly no income. So I want to keep it at 6 months, and I'd like to keep it at the no new revenue rate so that it's not a tax increase to taxpayers. So if there's a way to even drill down further for us to look at that short-term rental revenue and bump that even more, I'd like to see that.
And I think, Nicole, you've kind of taken a survey statewide. We're low, right?
We're pretty low.
Yeah.
I don't know how everybody else feels about it. I mean, I appreciate Councilmember Christensen for even bringing the idea up, because I know he's thought for a while that we need to be, you know, need to be paid a little more, but it is a significant, you know, increase to our dollar. So
So with this fee schedule that you kind of looked at, that increased us, what did you say to?
Well, we did it very quickly. We
Okay.
did 1 and 2 bedrooms at $200, 3 and 4 bedrooms at $400, 5 plus is $600. And it was very quickly,
It was Thursday.
Thursday that we were making these adjustments, so I didn't even get drilled down into the meeting reps to confirm how many bedrooms. I did 1,300 at 1 and 2 bedrooms, 1,000 at 3 and 4, and 1,000 at 5 and 6, because we have 3,300
What do you
bedrooms
think?
right now, but I think that's probably low. I think our 1 and 2 bedrooms are possibly less, and our 5+ are probably, or like 3 to 4, 3+ are higher.
I agree. Yeah, I mean, our one bedroom is
Which
probably
would
So I
make-
much
think
lower
it's
than
conservative
1,300.
is what I have in there
Right, which would
now.
make the rate go up, so it's probably about what, more like a 700,000 increase?
Right, it's probably gonna be more around maybe a 1.5 million versus 1.2 that I have in there, but it was being done quickly, late, and without knowing what direction y'all are gonna have an appetite for. I got something in there that gets us right back up to at least the 6 months, and still able to fund the police and street department. Or
Can you tell me again what you're supposed, one of the 2 bedrooms was 200, and what did we have after that?
3
3,
and
4
4
was 4, 5+ is 6.
It's an estimate on
But
how
it was
much
an
she's
estimate
supposed to
coming
number
from-
it up to. Every year.
Well, you're right,
Yeah.
every year, right, you're talking 55 cents a day, $1.10, $1.64. That's not, yeah. And one, when you beat. So expensive, we're still.
So that is gonna need to go on to an agenda. If y'all do have the appetite to raise that, we can come back with some scenarios on August 20th. I think we can get it together this week. Lori's
I can
out,
get
I
but
think it's a.
We can. I think we can get it before Wednesday.
So it can come out on the agenda?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. All right,
If an 8-bedroom is $800. I don't know
Do we have
if
any
it's gonna
8
say, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I can't afford an 8-bedroom.
We have 10 bedrooms.
No, I'm only gonna build a 7-bedroom.
I'll
No.
make a change.
Nobody's gonna do
From an
that.
8 to a 7 for the extra
No.
$100.
Oh,
People are pushing for 5 bedrooms.
I
That's like
think
the,
if, what I would like to see, to be able to make that decision, because I would like to see us go to the per bedroom fee. But I would like to see the numbers, right? And so I'd like to see a proposed budget that says 1 bedroom, 100, 2 bedroom, 200, and all that, right? But then I also know, needing to know the numbers, maybe 100 is too low of a minimum. Maybe the minimum should be 200 to start, whether you're 100. Exactly. I'd like to see that.
So
I don't
Nicole,
think
you
that's
know
gonna
what
be
she
a
wants?
significant change, but just for
Okay.
simplicity.
I think I'll have to come up with the budget numbers. She'll give me numbers.
Okay.
Definitely
Yep.
don't be going up, period.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll get the
we'll work
reports
it.
out.
Darla
Does
and I
that
will
make
work it
sense?
out.
Okay, hopefully that's just an Excel spreadsheet that Chuck can whip out in 10 seconds.
Pam already has it.
Probably already has.
He's already done
Probably
it.
already
He
done
just
this.
finished it. It's on his watch.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what it is. When we put the number of
See.
bedrooms, we'll have all different scenarios.
So it just needs a printer.
Your Excel.
Oh, don't give me that. Well, we could probably.
Yeah, we'll do a per bedroom.
Okay, and then this one.
The 200 is the
200
minimum, not.
That would, yeah,
Then
that would be the.
Okay. We will do that and that will assist. As I stated, there are additional positions added to the budget. They include a maintenance and a custodial person. The cost for those 2 people are allocated between the general fund, the harbor, and the facility fund because they take care of all of our buildings and those additional funds are able to assist. The court clerk, police patrol sergeant, patrol officer, training officer, street maintenance worker, and equipment operator that were added cannot go against the other funds. They're fully funded in the general fund. Officers do track time spent on the beach, as do EMS and fire, and that gets reimbursed from the beach fund to the general fund through the transfer you see in your budget, but their salaries and everything are 100% paid for out of the general fund, and we just track those hours and reimburse them.
Is that all the personnel that was requested, that were built into the budget right now?
There was a request for a EMS office admin, and then there were some in the beach, and I think that's all that's left out.
Can,
We're surf rescue.
can we see those built back into the budget if we can get an increase from the STR fees?
Yeah.
To see how that affects the budget?
Yeah, mainly with the EMS, because we're probably not even in there until the spring.
Yeah,
It was kind of like budgeted at this point, but it would be something we'd look at next summer, but we could attempt to throw it in there.
but if we feel like we want to put that person in because we get into
Yeah.
the building, God willing,
Yeah, we can-
we get in there in the next budget cycle.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking about, I know we cut back to be able to meet.
Yeah.
Last week when you were working on it, right, because of the numbers, and so if we're gonna be able to build a little more income back in there, you know, are there things that maybe we could build back in, and maybe there's other, I mean, we probably need a bunch more parks and recs people, maintenance.
Oh, no, it
crews,
was the
straight
lifeguard, we didn't do it. we
Surf
didn't-
rescue was the only other one.
Yeah,
Okay.
they wanted three
They wanted three
additional for
more
full-time, but
additional year-round guards, which would give us a total of 8 year-round guards in November, December, January.
We definitely need to find them a new spot before we probably add a bunch of.
yeah, I think we gotta
Right.
finish their home before we really look at a big reorg with
lifeguards.
lifeguards.
Okay, all right, so what next? Additional capital?
Yeah, so the capital, the large capital in the budget is in police, 1.2 million for the construction of an animal shelter. As I mentioned, that is just the beginning of A&E and beginning of construction. Technology needs for moving into the new building of the police, it still has some in there because we're not complete. We won't be in before September 30th, I do not believe. The EMS department needs to order a new ambulance, but the build on an ambulance is 2 years plus, so the funds are not necessarily in the budget, but we're asking for approval. We'll be bringing you to award that contract because it takes so long to build.
Well, I thought you had one ready to go,
One's gonna be here in November,
right?
but then to replace, to keep us on our schedule, to replace the next one, it'd be almost 3 years.
Okay,
And
And the
so,
one that's coming in November is
CARES Act.
CARES Act money is paying for, which we just need about 20,000 out of the general fund, and that is in there.
Okay, all right.
Yes, for the one on order, it's in there. We've got CARES Act money that's gonna be paying for that.
You don't put the rec center here. That's in its own.
Correct, that's in the construction fund, it's not in the.
It's not general fund. These are just the general fund,
Yeah, this is.
property
just general
tax
fund.
paying sections, yeah.
So the expansion of the city hall, that contract's already awarded. It's got about 2.9 million that is gonna be left on that contract, and the technology needs for new wiring, revamping of this council chambers for AV and computer needs, of about 432,500. The street department, we ordered a Vector truck back in 23-24. It's supposed to be coming soon.
Yeah.
And so that cost is in the budget again of 645,275. It's not gonna be here before September 30th, so it needs to be put back into this budget again. And there's a listing in the back that goes department by department, but that's kind of the big highlights of the general fund in a nutshell. If there's any department you would like to look at more closely, we can definitely do that. We've got a tab for each one. But if not, we can move on to, I didn't mention anything about municipal technology, security, or debt service in my letter because they're just not real big funds. They're specifically set for exactly what they say. Technology, a portion of every ticket goes in to support technology fees in the court. Also, security needs in the court. That's exactly what those funds are. And debt service is where all of our debt payments for all of our bond issues are. Most of them are paid with the portion of property tax, the INS portion of property tax, but some are done with transfers from hotel motel specials for the McDonald Ball Field. Harbor is for the Harvey Harbor bond. Zone 1 impact fee transfer covers the 11th Street bond that only has one more year of payment. Not this budget year 25, 26, but 26, 27, that'll be paid off. And then impact fee zone 2, the 70,700, that is for the beach access road B bond that was issued, I think, in maybe 20. But the rest of debt service is paid for from tax dollars. Discussion on any of that, or move on to the nature reserve?
I got another question. So we're gonna use an additional out of our reserves, like 7.3 million.
If we spent everything,
If we
that's
spend
correct.
everything of it. And this year, or this upcoming budget year, the rec center money is not part of it, or is it part of the tax anticipation?
It's in the tax anticipation note, part of it, and then we're taking part for park dedication fees, we're taking part from,
But this upcoming fiscal year, when we use money, we might not be using, we're gonna do the tax anticipation note first, park dedication fee, before we have to come up with the extra money in a future budget.
we get to the rec center in the construction fund, and
Use up that money this upcoming year.
we'll probably use more, it depends on how
10
quickly
or
they
11
do draws.
million.
You'll
Because
have,
it's a 2-year thing, correct? We think 2 budget cycles?
Yes.
Okay.
and we also have Potomac special going to this budget year that's proposed.
Yeah, it's not coming out
It's
of
not
general
just
fund.
park beautification, there's nothing coming out of general fund
Yeah,
for rec center. This year or next year.
right.
So the 7.3 we're using this year is increasing some, to decrease it is using just for operation costs. The
Well,
additional
there's
money.
capital too, there's the animal shelter, there's
So we need
the
that.
expansion of this building.
All right.
The technology
Okay.
needs, it's capital and operations, it's everything. But those capital items, once you spend them once, they're not ongoing. So
Okay.
to sustain a budget, you don't count
We'll
them
be
again
okay.
for the
Page,
future.
page 8 of 159. It kind of gives you more the drill down of what the dipping into reserves goes for. For general fund items.
Right, I mean, there's 6.1 million that's considered capital.
Right.
That it'll happen once and only once and won't press your future budgets in the general fund for those needs. You will need, another one, we don't know the cost yet, 1 to 2 million more for the animal shelter, because I know 1.2 million for architectural and construction is not enough. But you won't need the 3.1 million again, that's under public buildings, because that's for this building. We may not complete all that before September of 26. But questions on anything before the nature reserve?
Not on that.
So the nature preserve does not have a revenue source. We rely on Potomac Special Fund to help support it and various grants. And Ray has done a great job of getting grants. We have 4 grants in here. One is Restore Grant for the trails. We've been working on that for well over a year. It will not be completed before September 30th, so we've got 230,000 rebudgeted to finish up the Restore Grant. Boating Access Grant, I think that's from Parks and Wildlife, and that is for design of the paddle park out on 361. We've met with them. That contract is being executed right now. The Lost Land Kepra grant, we got confirmation on that award, as we did for the bulkhead grant. So all of those grants are in here. And the rest is mainly operations besides those grants. We do have some capital outlay that will be our city responsibility, and that is Paradise Pond is currently, going to be paved for parking, but we're not gonna be able to get fencing done before September 30th, so we need to fence, the perimeter between our parking, our property, and basically Juan's property. And then, we have monies in there to fence the old, a portion, not all of it, but a portion of the old IGA property that we acquired this past year. And they want a different type of, not a grasshopper, it's called a grasshopper, cricket grasshopper golf cart. And, some monies in there if we get further along with the citywide camera project. Trying to get those buildings constructed and then add cameras as we can to other properties. Any questions on the nature reserve? Hotel Motel Special, no, I'm sorry, Hotel Motel Fund. This is where we take in all of the hotel tax and then we turn around and we divvy it up to the chamber. And then we transfer over to Hotel Motel Special its portion and the facility fund its portion. So we have 3.25% of the 7% going to the chamber proposed in the next year. We are required to spend 3% on sales and marketing. But we've been giving them that extra 0.25% for several years, so it's dialed into the budget to stay. If you wanted to dial back to 0.25%, we would put that into Hotel Motel Special. So the estimate for the chamber is 4.944 million next year. We reimburse them on actual collections, so if something happens and we have a drop in hotel tax, they may not get all that. But conversely, if we have a great year, we may go past that budget. So that is Hotel Motel. Hotel Motel Special is where you have a lot of projects in Hotel Motel Special. Its revenue source is the interest that's earned on monies that are sitting and haven't been expended, and the collections of 3.25% of the 7% hotel tax. And then we get some parking lot fees from our new STR lot that we've had in now for a few years. The operations in the Hotel Motel Special are, we have one person in there, our STR specialist that handles our registration, taxes, trying to find cheaters. And then under supplies and services, that's pretty much operations. We did not dial anything in for Trinity Day School because you had not had a chance to discuss anything. They came late to the game. We do have 100,000 in for the Art Center support, 100,000 for community theater, and 305,000 for the Historical Association, and 10,000 for the school district. That is the amount of the request that they all three made to the committee. I don't remember the name of the committee, but
Well, the Art Center missed.
the Art
right?
Center missed. They did come and did a presentation.
Yeah, Pat,
And citizen comments.
Papahan, EAISD all submitted on time.
Yes, those three did spend on time. Art Center did miss. But those are in right now at 100% of their requests.
No turkey trot.
No
It's in
turkey
there.
trot money is in it. We have the wayfinding signage project. They have not requested many draws. So this 1.7 is to finish out the project, but we do anticipate they've done some samples. We anticipate that they are going to bill us some before September 30th, but we don't know how much at this point. We have 85,000 in there right now for an entrance sign the entrance sign is not in the wayfinding
Right.
project. So we've had that in for a few years, and we've left that in for any possible design that has come up for an entrance sign to the city. In the maritime sculpture at the Roberts Point Park,
Yeah.
looking out there, we have 75,000 in for that, which was the number that was discussed at the council workshop. We were gonna do 50, but I think we have in our notes to raise that up to 75.
Darla, on the wayfinding, I mean, there's got, so, and I know they're working on, they've been doing the prototypes, and so hopefully they'll have all the signs finished and some installation happening, but you don't anticipate, or we don't anticipate any of that being before the end of September.
I think they will build some. Elena told me today that she anticipates a draw coming in, but they have not been billing us for that.
Right, because the 1.78, that's the whole
That is the
contract
whole
amount,
contract
right?
amount.
So do we need to
On the
put that
call
much?
today, they talked about a 50% draw on manufacturing costs. So the original contract is split into manufacturing and installation. And they should have already invoiced us for down payment, and they haven't. And so I pushed them to do that. And so a big chunk, probably a quarter of that dollar amount is.
So will we adjust the
50%
budget?
Budget the whole thing, we will adjust the budget, of course. If they give me something before you pass it on
Okay.
September 11th, I'll adjust the budget down,
Okay,
but that information came today.
right, sure, and I understand. I just want to make
Right.
sure that, I mean, I know the project is moving forward, and I'm,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm like,
Right.
better get
because when-
something up before October 1st. My goodness
Right.
gracious.
I mean, it's been going on for 2 budget cycles now. This will be the 3rd going into next year. So the other large portions of hotel motel special are transfers that occur to other funds to address their capital needs. For the Civic Center expansion, we had 3.7 million in this year's budget for the expansion to the Civic Center for breakout rooms and revamping the exhibit hall, or whatever we call it. For the contract, we need an additional $1,080,000. So that is budgeted here to transfer to the facility fund for that construction. Transfer to construction, $3,190,000 is for the recreation center. So that's where your rec center transfer there and park dedication fees. And the nature preserve needs 1.2 million from hotel motel special for the items we just went over. And then the bond payment for the McDonald ball field comes out of hotel motel special. We transferred over to debt service in order to pay that debt.
If the venue tax passes, then that money will be available to help cover the Civic Center remodel. So some of that can,
That would free back up into hotel motel over $4 million.
yeah.
Because right now we're sitting at about 4.8 million that's coming out of hotel motel special for the Civic Center expansion and remodel. And
Whole new place.
whole new place. And I think that's exactly what that venue tax would do. Put it back in.
And then additionally pay for streets and parking areas and everything else kind of in and around
And around
this
the-
venue, the community center venue, all the other parks that kind of relate to
and
Connect, yeah.
So that venue center tax is huge to this piece of their budget.
Yeah, which is a huge tax benefit because if you remember the original concept that South Padre used, it was a 50-50. It was a 50-50 deal. It was 50% general fund matching 50% pot. So we have figured out a way to do it with 100% pot. So if we can pull this off, the venue tax ultimately, at the end of the day, is huge tax relief on the general fund side and to the local taxpayer.
We don't have any money in general fund to pay for those things, so.
Right.
Can we go back to the hot tax
Item you were talking about the turkey trot, what did we give Trinity last year?
11,000.
We have not given them 11. We've
We
only
haven't
given
given it to them in their budget.
We've only given them 8,800. We awarded them 11. It's a reimbursement program. They were given 88,000, 8,800.
Actually, they haven't even been given anything yet.
Still-
That is Harvest Moon was given 8,800. I did not get
I'm
any
still not able to
paperwork
get
for them
it,
today at 2:43. I saw when y'all were in executive session, they emailed their follow-up needed for this 11,000.
So they've gone this whole time without any of that
Right.
money.
Yeah, it looks like, so the art center was 71,250, and they've submitted 57,000, so there's about 14,200 left. Community theater, 71,250, they used all the 71,250.
No, they haven't requested
No,
anything.
they
They haven't
haven't
paid them anything yet.
The historical foundation, 142,500, and this report was 114. And then, yes, the EMS had 20, nothing, and Trinity had 11. And,
Those have to do requests to their 70%.
Yeah, so that's something you guys need to think about.
That's what I was thinking,
Is
is
that-
that 515 this year? Yeah.
And the due dates for the results from last year's money is not until September.
Technically, yeah,
So
it's
they got-
September, yeah. So two people missed the application deadline, Turkey Trot and Art Center.
But we put the art center in the budget, but not the turkey trot.
Yeah, because the Turkey Trot, the Art Center people came to us immediately starting in May.
Turkey Trot
And last-
didn't know anything until they came to Citizen Comments.
last-
They hadn't contacted us. They just came to see.
I don't know if y'all read that packet, but their ask was 40 grand.
Oh, I didn't see.
Yeah, that's, I mean, for technically, I mean, that's a huge ask
Yep.
for a one-time event. I mean, you look at like something like PAC, they're spreading out their funds over probably 30+ events. Yeah, that's a big ask for a one-day event.
Yeah, that's what the application said.
And literally, I mean, only using it, they're supposed to be using it for is just to advertise, so. For advertisement. I was just curious what. I saw that, but I just thought that was.
Yeah, it's a big number.
Without that, their ask this year's 220,000 more than last year.
Who's?
Everybody, those three.
Oh, yeah.
Another 220,000, which was what I kind of figured was that.
Because what did we do last year? We did 50, 50, 142?
71,250, 71,250,
71,
142,
Because we were down like
They were-
5% or something, and so,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Pretty good, yeah.
The,
Yes,
But
we
the-
did it on a calculation based on what we estimated our hotel motel tax was down. You're correct.
the STR though the committee had it higher, y'all scaled it back. Just as they gave 100% of the ask this year, is what they recommended.
Which they did that last year.
That's what I'm saying, that they did that both years.
Here's $50 million. So put 220,000.
I don't know if y'all want to discuss that now, or if you want, yeah, keep going.
Figure out what we're gonna do, I mean.
So we'll have, as far as more opportunities, we'll have the budget on the August 20th next week. And then after that, it's the September meeting for approval. So you really only have.
Right.
After those 2 more meetings.
Mhm.
Okay.
And one of them is in your regular council meeting. It's gonna be an item at the regular.
Just wanted to discuss that so we know what.
Yeah, and we won't go through that,
Yeah.
start to finish. It'll
Okay.
just
No, no,
be individual, it'll be a budget item and it'll be individual topics you guys bring up.
It's gonna be
yourselves.
whatever y'all want to talk about.
Like if
I
we have
won't
some
go through-
changes, we may have some tweaks, but we won't go through page by page.
If you give me any direction tonight to change anything, I will make those changes and give you the new budget. The STR, registration dollar will make its own item.
Because we have to approve the change because it's an actual, beach.
Right.
Right.
Right. So that will be an individual item, it won't be a budget item. We'll do that. Correct.
But we'll have that before we discuss the budget so that we can
We'll put it
recommend,
ahead.
thank you.
We will put it about.
Put it before the budget discussion, please, so we can make our,
Yeah, budget discussion will probably be one of the later things on the agenda.
Well, I don't know if anyone has recommendations to change right now, but, and we can certainly keep discussing it now. She can go to the end, we can come back. But if y'all want to change what is budgeted for those 4 particular groups that have budget numbers, or change for the other group, which is asked, which is Trinity Day School, which has currently nothing budgeted, then yes, we will need to have that discussion now or next week. So
Who's the fourth one?
sports tourneys, historical association, the school, the 3 we've
The
been
school is right
traditionally
after
funded,
historical association.
which they made the application deadline and
They did
everything.
make the deadline, and they asked for 10,000. For various sports tourneys, include Farnham Classic.
Yeah, just those 4 entities, you got the Art Center, 100K, the Community Center, 100K, the Historical Association, 305K, and 10 for the sports tourney, so it's 515. And all 4 of those together.
And if you had the 40,000 from Trinity.
Yeah,
I
I definitely put
question.
that in there.
Yeah.
Yes, then that goes up even more, sure.
Thank you. Historical Association, is there reason for the big bump?
There was an application, a pretty big application that kind of went to all how they broke it down, but.
It matched their application from last year, 305, I think. wasn't it?
Yes,
But
and
they-
the year before.
But they only.
3
they've only
buildings
took
or what?
114.
Three.
Right.
3 separate groups, right? The museum, the building, and then also kind of their tournament, their golf tournament, and kind of what they do. But Chapel, they really have multiple,
Took it from 12 applications to 3.
To keep it simplified.
To make it.
Yeah.
But the numbers were the same as the prior year. They requested 305 last year, but were only awarded 1.25. When they turn in their September year-end, called it figure and reports, then they will be made post-event, they will be made whole to 142.5.
Okay, so y'all want to noodle on that a little bit, and we'll let Darla keep going?
Yeah.
Okay.
I do have a question on this. So we have this process that's been set up for 2 or 3 years, like the applications, and now we didn't get some applications. Whatever the amount of money is, in city government, if you don't make applications, do you start making, oh, that's okay, it's fine, or is it more of, you knew the application, we've done it for a couple of years, you didn't make it, and do we even consider? And it's not a point of whether you like an organization or not an organization, but are we handheld, or are we required because the applications weren't in, they didn't go through the committee, they weren't presented to us on time? How big a deal does that come into play?
Yeah, but we changed to a committee, right? And then Lawrence was heading that all up, working with them quite a bit.
Right.
And then now Lawrence was gone this year, and I guess everybody
No,
was
but
just
he
waiting.
left,
No,
he
he
left
left
after the application deadline was over.
That's the question I'm asking. You know,
Well, I mean, it's a policy, so the deadline and all the, and all that, that's a policy. It's not like planning and zoning where processes are spelled out by ordinance.
Okay.
This is a policy that was adopted by city council. The policy says the application period is, March 1 through the end of March. The hot board did not reconvene to meet and take on the people that missed. They said, too bad, your option is to go to council and seek relief. So it's up to you guys. It is a policy though, so it's not as strict as an ordinance. But ultimately, it's your seven's decision on whether you take that stance or not. I would say if it was an ordinance, I would probably say you shouldn't have that leeway, but being that it's a policy, it's watered down.
When was the applications for?
Applications were due March 1st through March 31st.
And Chad, to your benefit,
Yeah, this
the
was the
reason
second.
we
so-
established the policy to have a committee in an application and review is because we would be literally sitting at this meeting and having people just come up and say, oh, not without justification or cause or documentation, but it made it very difficult on those of us who are sitting here to know, okay, well, there's all these rules and it's hot tax and it's this and it's that. So we decided we're gonna have a committee and you're gonna have application and you're gonna have follow through and you're gonna have to prove that you're earning these dollars, so to speak, right? And so for the last 2 years, that's the process we've gone through. And last year, we didn't have anybody that missed the deadline, right? This year, we had 2 potential people that have come forth since that missed the deadline.
The
So
only reason I asked about the day school is because the reason I was told that they missed the deadline doesn't add up with the March deadline. That's what happened.
What did you hear?
Somebody got sick and there was,
Oh.
didn't get put in, and I got a lot of phone calls and texts for the last 2 years ago. So, obviously, it's for the kids and that's something this thing happened.
I mean, the biggest thing, as the mayor was saying, was that, for the amount of money, this discussion item was eating up like 50% of our budget every summer. And it was just absolutely ridiculous that 600,000, whatever the number was, was taking up 50% of every single meeting we sat in. And it was just like, okay, this is crazy. We need to come up with a better method. So hence the creation of the board so that they could deal with all the, and then we hoped that it would just be a number coming to council.
Yeah.
It's still leading into a big discussion.
Well, I fully agree. Probably some consideration needed on a few of these. They're actually doing some good things.
Right.
Somebody missed a calendar item and something. Versus shutting them down forever, or maybe you do shut them down and then next year they probably won't miss it.
I have more recommendations for next year. Change their system again,
Yeah, okay, well, I'm sorry, moving on.
so that everybody gets a chance, but it's not eating up all of our time, right? So, but yeah, so we need to think about those numbers, and if you guys have numbers, you want to put them out there today, great. If not, then please come with hard numbers so we can discuss
Please
that
come
next
with
week.
some
next week.
ideas of the 20th.
Yeah, on the 20th.
I've got some ideas.
Okay. Well,
I'd like to go back to the Arts Center 75, Community Theater 75, Historical Association 150, school, what they asked, the 10?
Yeah.
10 for the school. I'm not opposed to giving Trinity something.
that's a recommendation.
75, 150, 10 and 10.
To market their events.
What'd you say for Trinity?
10 and 10.
They're very similar in what the purpose and what they do, right? You and I'm not defending either one, but take the school part out of it, right? They are both, right, schools, but their events that they're putting on are multi-day sport events that are bringing people in from out of town. Whether they have runs, whether they play basketball, whatever they're doing, people are coming into town. Maybe not specifically, maybe they do a lot of other things, right? Which they hope they do. That's the whole point, right? They come, they stay, they eat, they stay in hotels, they stay in motels, they go to other events. Yeah. But I think as far in my mind, they're similar.
75 art center, 75 community, 150 historical, 10 sports tournaments, and 10 for the Trinity next. Total of 320, we did 316 last year.
Let them know. If, like, next year, they might get
Right.
Mayor's gonna change it.
Yeah.
I'm not changing the amount.
February,
I'm just gonna maybe tweak the process to make it a little easier.
February 1st, February 2nd. Get your paper.
Yeah. I just want it to be easy for people.
I would tend to go
For
with
us.
that, Billy.
Straw poll, put it in
More
at that.
people that like it.
Everyone nodding. All right, we'll put it in at that, and if you guys want to change it, later date, you can change it.
But we will change it to
Okay,
that before the
all right.
20th.
Thank you for a recommendation, sir. Move us forward. Okay, all right. Girl,
So the facility fund is 0.25 of the hot tax is revenue, and then I need some more for the construction of the Civic Center, finish up the Civic Center project, so we've got to transfer from hotel to motel special. I could change the percentage that goes to it for 1 year, but it's easier to keep it the same and do it in a transfer. Then we can transfer what the actual dollars are and keep the facility fund at 0.25. And the facility fund supports the community center and the civic center operations. We also have in $100,000 for a new AC unit. The one close to the stage in the civic center was replaced just about a year and a half ago. But the one close to the doors is nearing end of life, and we're gonna go ahead and do an RFP for that.
and you have a new sound system for the community center as well?
Correct. Because that's not in the construction. They're moving the AV screen in the construction, but I don't think there's a new sound system. So we've got that budget.
Based on the, what's that project? It is gonna be all new.
So that's the facility fund. Airport fund. is not pretty. Airport fund right now, I can sit here and say is not sustainable at what we have right now. So there is a, we self-fuel. And then we have hangar leases, overnight parking at airports, and overnight vehicle parking. And then we put in there 428,400 for a ramp grant for some paving. But he really hasn't had any success finding anything, but I didn't take it out. Because if he could find a grant, we would do the paving.
Okay, so just to explain, that's basically that covers all the portion of the airport that wasn't included in the recent project. And you can see it if you drive by, right? There's
Yeah, it's
brand
like
new
70
beautiful
feet
runway.
off center of the taxiway was the limit of construction. And they would not give us anything beyond that limit. So it's a lot of the transient parking and stuff towards, it's, yeah, like the mayor said, you can see it all, there's a distinct line.
Yeah.
Everything towards Piper Boulevard.
Which would help us also designate the parking that's there, which we now charge a
Yeah.
little more for. I know we probably don't make big money, but that would actually delineate that a little better and then make it all one nice general area. Okay, well, we need to get Pauline and Ray to talk to Chris about grant writing.
I still
Happy
got
to assist.
opportunities are.
That's the tricky part is it's easy for us because we know there's so many for nature and conservation and
Right.
they're readily available. We're less familiar with reaching into other departments, but
We need another
Duties is
text on
assigned.
FAA grant, aviation grant.
Down on the bottom.
And the TxDOT aviation grant that we are completing was a huge help. That thing has been going on since 2012. It took a little while
We don't want to wait that long.
to get done. So in the airport, you have just some part-time personnel. You don't have any full-time personnel. But
we do have the two things for capital perimeter fencing for 125,000. And then a jet fuel tank was mentioned. I put in 90,000 for that, but not really.
It's 125,000 to fence the whole airport runways and taxiways.
No, portions of it. I mean, you don't need to fence all the stuff out in the nature reserve, so. More so the stuff around, the Piper Boulevard, Highway, Palladium.
Yeah, so without looking at other, getting additional hangers, some type of other partnership right now, it's not sustainable at this level.
Well, that won't be the annual budget every year, right? So.
No, but, and the reason this year was not sustained because the match for the textile aviation grant, since that has been going on so long. In 2012, when we first started it, we did match transfers from the general fund to the airport to handle that. When they called us back 24 months ago, I don't remember how long ago it was, or 24, there were additional match required. And, we had done all the match, but it took 13 years to get to fruition. And there was additional match, and that's why it is now sitting in the negative for the match that we had.
What was the match? Show me the.
Gosh, over the time, it was over $500,000.
No, but like our upcoming budget, where we're not gonna make it or sustain. Where's the match done?
The match for the textile aviation grant, we did about 320,000 years and years ago. Then we had to send them another 428,000. Oh, no, that's the airplane. I don't remember how much it was, but we had to send 416,000. That we had to. But we did not go to the general fund and ask for that money at this point. Some other things that maybe the airport could do to raise its own money. Either a hangar auction or some type of private inflection of money.
Do you raise just fees to use the airport then? Are the hangars still owned by the city, or do those get sold?
We own the land, they own the hangar. They build a hangar and we sell it.
So you don't want to change them.
Parking, right?
So we're up on the parking.
Yeah, on parking.
And we do have more on parking. And now we can remove 90,000 right now of the jet fuel tank. I think 90 is actually too low.
Yeah, it's probably more like 130.
Yeah, it is probably more like 130 because it was that's about the price of the new tank for the fuel.
Well, it wouldn't be as big, so it maybe 90 is close. That'll be a pump system, but it's a much smaller tank.
Right, and the pump system's about 20.
So maybe that's close. Bet it's a third of the size.
Can we just charge for landing, not what you're landing? Or,
No.
oh,
Parking overnight.
Parking
overnight.
overnight, we charge.
Okay. And the bigger planes, do they pay more? Or
Yeah,
less?
it's
They
per
do.
it's by engine.
Okay, all right.
Single turbine fender, they have.
Yeah.
So by having a jet fuel tank, will that, along with selling it, will more people be parking their jets? Most of them have 2 engines.
Well, with the 650-foot extension, perhaps we're going to see more of them. It'll take a while for people to start getting the comfort level of coming in here with the small jets, but
That would be an added bonus in theory, yeah.
How long would it take to recoup
what you charge for jet fuel. Whether they fill up before they come.
Okay, right now you have it built in the budget, so what you're asking is if we want to take any of these things out to trim the budget up?
And the airport, the paving, you know, since we've got it in their grant, it's actually only about 40,000, 38,000 that it would help if you take it out, because we've got 428 in revenue, 476 in cost. Got it dialed in for 90/10.
Right,
90%.
and we're not
coming
gonna
from the grant.
spend that if we don't,
We're not
get a
gonna
grant,
spend that if we
right,
don't get a grant.
right, so,
So that really doesn't help you to take it out. The only thing you have is jet fuel tank. The fencing is eligible for the 50/50 ramp grant that we have now.
Yeah.
So, we get 100,000 from TxDOT aviation grant every year. And it's a 50/50 match. So this year, I think this year's grant was 100. So 111, so if we spend 200, we get. We do want to maximize that, but fencing is more of a need right now. Actually, than
I say, can we just leave it like it is and then keep working to see if there's any other resource that we
Yeah.
can get to pay for it, and then all those spells, we can pull it maybe right before the budget's complete,
Yeah.
couple weeks.
And just because it's in the budget,
It doesn't
budget
mean it
is
has
a
to get spent.
value, doesn't mean
Right.
it has to get spent.
Exactly.
For us to pull a trigger on a tank, if it's over 50,000, it's got to come to you.
Right.
Does that change on September 1?
Number one, it'll be 100,000.
Oh, good.
100,000, yeah.
Better.
Now we have to go to you for everything that's 50 or more, but it's changing to 100 September 1.
We'll take that.
We wouldn't buy it without knowing you anyway. So the beach fund has quite a bit in it. It has revenue sources from 2% of the state hotel tax is rebated to us. Beach permits from various costs, you know, it's $12 per permit with vendors that sell it for us. Then we do the revenue share with Corpus, City of Corpus and the county.
But you haven't really built in much of an increase based on what we proposed, right?
We haven't built in any increase because we have gotten no
Response.
response. The beach master plan has to be rewritten to raise the fees. And we sent them our request that we want to, you know, get the interlocal agreement redone before we would approach any increase in fees, and they have not responded at all. We could send another email and ask them response.
Yeah, I'd like to do that. I think we should, only because we know they're planning their budgets as well, because that was the discussion we had when we met with them. So just to get a follow-up and just see.
It was sent from myself to everyone that was on the call. Maybe this one we could send from David's email address and maybe they'll respond. Don't know. But no, consequently, we did not put in an increase really to beach parking permits. Beach cleaning grant that we get from GLO, and then we still have interlocal agreements with the county for lifeguards, garbage, and beach cleaning for them. And then we have 3 departments that are supported in the beach fund. One is surf rescue. We did not dial in any more year-round guards. Right now, we have 5, the surf rescue manager and 4 head guards. We did not add 3 more year-round guards at this point. But we did increase the budget to go from 30 part-time guards during the season up to 40.
Does that get us more further down the beach, or does it get us a longer coverage?
They're asking to build 2 more stands, which would get us, I don't know where they're gonna put them, I think it's further down the beach.
15 and 18.
Yeah.
15 and 18, so it does get you more coverage on the beach. And they did ask for the large pay scale adjustment, and that is not done yet. The rest is, operation supplies and services is pretty much status quo. But then you've got 1.4 million dialed into construct their facility. Don't know if when we're gonna be able to go to bid for that, because that's the lady on yard Victory is using for, fire and EMS. And so we can't go out to bid and award that contract until that land is clearer. And they're asking for an ATV and another jet ski, actually 2 ATVs. And we also have adding to their fleet in the vehicle lease, 2 more 4-wheel drive SUVs, possibly Jeeps, depending on what price we can get, to transport guards. It's hard to get 30 guards out on the beach with just a few trucks. And the camera exterior equipment would be for when they build a building, so I don't know if that would come in this year's budget or not. The parking enforcement, which is on page 80, is your, this year it's in as a couple of part-timers, 2 part-timers are actually budgeted. Next year, it's 1 full-time person year-round and 1 part-timer. 90% of the full-timer is budgeted under beach, 10% is budgeted in the general fund under the police department, because this is supervised by the police department. The 25,000 you see for beach parking permits is the cost to print.
We have 0 cost this year, so does that mean for that?
We haven't paid yet. I hadn't worked it out with Brookish yet for any of the cost of printing this year. And then the big department under the beach is Public Works. We are adding to staff 1 beach maintenance worker and 1 equipment operator. And then they don't really have, well, they do have some capital needs. The beach access road construction is coming from this fund. And so that is the cost of the contract. Maybe a little lower than that, depending on how quickly Mako gets us any draws for what the work we're doing now. That does include the change order that you passed tonight. And we are transferring into the beach fund until this road is paid off, money from Impact Fee Zone 2, because that's what Impact Fee Zone 2 was passed for. So right now, Impact Fee Zone 2 is paying for your bond, the $885,000, and it's also paying for construction of this road until we reimburse the beach fund for the construction of that road. And once that pays for, other projects that are eligible for Impact Fee Zone 2 will be covered.
Is there any, Nicole?
Say it again.
Is there any other projects in zone 2?
Only access road will
Yeah.
be. Oh, we need to
Access
cut.
road.
No, I take that back. On our comprehensive plan, it was the slip roads, but we don't have a project planned out.
Oh,
for
that's
that.
right.
But the slip roads were
The
included.
slip roads, potential feeder roads.
I know it's slip roadway.
I learned during that comprehensive plan.
And Charlie, just a question on the beach restroom rentals and service. We had budgeted 38,000, but only $20 in expense. What is that?
Beach restroom rental,
Yeah, it says beach
Is-
restrooms rental and service, budgeted 38, we're budgeted 15 this year. We got $20 actually.
that is if our pump truck goes down, our heavy wagon. If it goes down, it's been working. If we have to contract out for any additional, it's been put in pretty much every year if rentals are needed.
Gotcha.
Same thing on contract beach service and maintenance. This year we have 100,000, we paid 61, we're putting it to 175. That is also used if we have large CV events and we have to get other outside contractors, we can't keep up. That's where that stuff's budgeted. And then their capital gravel besides the beach access road. There is a dump truck that has been on order for quite a while. It has not been delivered yet, so it had to be rebudgeted also, just like the Vector truck was. And then some cameras, and there may be some technology needs that dial up before next September for their building. So those may have to come to you as a budget amendment if needed. Then we transfer to the general fund, as I mentioned earlier, fire, EMS, and police that spend time on their beats. They document that on their time cards, and we reimburse to the general fund those type of costs. And that's where those transfers on page 83 come from. We do a very detailed cost calculations to track that and reimburse it. And then sanitation fund, we do a transfer from each fund to the sanitation fund, because what we do is we take that beach trash, it's in all those toters, and we collect it, we take it to the transfer station, and then we have to pay Republic, whatever they're called. Shows how old I am, I call them. Republic to fall that off to Robstown. So we transfer to support in that. So that's your beach fund. Questions or discussions on beach?
So you did 2 years prior and 1 year prior, is that for the full 12 months or is that full to what our actual is?
Those are actual for the 12 months.
For the full 12 months?
Yes, sir.
And our year to date?
We're done with that discussion. Yeah, we can take it before we get to the next. Are you done with your question?
Yes, yes, yes.
Sorry. Yes, we can take a break. Okay. Quick break.
I can't.
Well, it's been nice.
Hey, Darla, let's pick up the pace.
Talking as quick as I can.
You're still able to talk.
I know, just bear with me.
Sorry, I pushed that one into.
That's okay.
Okay.
It's needed, obviously. Okay. Harbor Fund?
Yes.
All right.
Is that the last one?
Just gonna be hear it multiple times.
It's in here.
Harbor, the revenues are almost exactly the same as they were last year. There's really no capital in here except for, well, that's not true. Repave and restripe the ramp parking area is a very high dollar amount. We just got those updated estimates from the engineer in this budget. They're also asking for a work boat, which
Little John wrote.
Old John boat and bulkhead on the cap at Dock 9 needs to be fixed.
We also have a couple electrical items that we need to purchase after the fire.
I was gonna say, did y'all have a lot of damage from that?
No, not a whole lot. I mean, it melted a pedestal and some electrical associated with that pedestal and some damaged plumbing. And then it melted the, kind of the rubber bumpers.
Yeah.
So, yeah, some bumper
You have
damage.
an insurance claim on it.
Yeah, we got a claim on that.
Coast Guard was there pretty quick.
Yeah.
It was-
Because I mean, we couldn't get it turned out a lot better than it would have been had we had the old wooden docks. That'd have really been a mess. Yeah. Exactly. But none of the four vessels or two vessels, main vessels, right, that were damaged, and then two on the other side. One you can still see obviously has damage, but none of those were livable, right?
I don't think they were.
They were all transient
Yeah.
or people who were just in the rentals. Okay. Because that was my biggest fear. I was like, oh gosh. Yes.
Okay, construction fund has some really large dollars. And that is due to two things. We don't really have, the revenues coming in are transfers from other areas, 3.19 from hotel motel special, as I discussed, 1.1 million for park dedication, and both of those are for the construction of the recreation center. Next budget year, 26-27, it's gonna need about another 3.2 million from the hotel motel special to complete construction. And then we have a CDBG drainage grant that has been going on for a while. We are now doing the second portion of that grant, and there may be about 555,000 left to carry forward next year to finish that drainage grant out. But we just got news on an award of 5.3 million for some more. So that was great news. With zero
Right, so if
match.
you remember, real quick, so there was a second tranche of funds that came out, but it was tied to your LMI, your low to moderate income situation in your town. And we tried best we could to get it, but we could never meet it. And they said, well, go do surveys. And so we didn't qualify for any of it. And they said, well, circle back to us. We'll circle back with you at the end of the project. And if there's leftover funds in your region's allocation, then you potentially can qualify. So that was like 3 years ago. And so they called us 2 weeks ago. We met with them and they first said, we have 3.2 for you because the region met the LMI and there's still funding left over. But we demanded the full 5.3 that we had originally been allocated. So they called us last week and said, you got it. With no match.
No match.
So we'll have a
Just-
nice big, and
Just
so,
3 more
Yeah.
years of paperwork to do.
so more drainage, more drainage projects.
It's
So
gonna
keep
be
out costs. Right, so we got 5,385,600 on that grant, so you will see that in your revenues, you will see the same exact amount as an expenditure. I don't think that we will be able to get it all done in this budget year, but we went ahead and put the whole grant in. The rec center, I have the whole amount of the contract in, that is on page 96. With construction, we've got a little bit remaining for architect and the engineering. So that's at 24.2. The transfer of the building tax anticipation note to the Harvey Fund for the fire EMS station, because our PW from the FEMA is coming to replace the old building. The building that's not a new building, we've got fire and EMS combined now. And so that will take all of that tax anticipation note that was issued a couple of years ago and transfer it over to Harvey for construction. At 3.4 budgeted this year, I'll go ahead and move that. And then that 5.3 is the rest of the tax anticipation note. Yes, very glad we did that. Yes, we would have been in serious, because we didn't have 9 million sitting in the general fund to do that. And on page 99 is the rest, and that is the 2 CDBG grants, 1 to finish and 1, the new one of 5.3 million. So that is your construction fund. Any questions or anything on that?
If TechStop approves a light, will we have any obligation to pay for any of that, for access for 1B?
Oh, for a light? I'll have to find that out, but I could find out. There could be, there could be some.
I'm just curious,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean,
We are working it though, so,
Yeah.
but I'll put a note on that.
Is it a stoplight or just a flash?
At this
Like
point, we haven't, it really depends on TxDOT's policy on, do you just go from, like 0 to 100, or what's their, what their thinking is. It's like 1A has been a flashing light for how many years? I mean, one. It's been a flashing for, so we don't know. We put in the request that said, hey, we need something. Is it flashing or is it a light? That's gonna be more, not so much what we're asking, but what they think needs to go there.
Gonna move on. Drainage impact fees just went into effect last fiscal year, and we are collecting, I think at the end of this year, we'll hit around 78,000 in there, and at the end of next budget year, I think we may get over 100, so it's actually collecting more than I thought it was going to. at this
Which one's
point. Drainage impact.
Oh, yeah,
fees.
yeah.
We've collected right at 67,000 this fiscal year to date, from October 1st to July, through July. Impact fee zone 2, that is where I discussed having the transfer from here to pay for the beach access road and for the debt service on the $885,000 bond that was done a few years ago for that road.
What is that? What's the balance of that thing?
Right now, it's sitting at, started the year at 200,000. I'm anticipating end of the year around 300,000.
Because that's something that the light that we could spend, if there was a match for light, we could spend it on that, because it's for beach access road B plus anything associated.
okay,
with it.
good.
So,
Hopefully that's-
yeah, okay,
After
but
drainage,
at least
yeah.
that's a pot of fun we can.
Yeah.
Target.
After drainage impact fees, I'm sorry, impact fees on 1 was right there too. We didn't make a tab for drainage impacts, so I put them together. we just transferred money to pay for that 11th Street bond. Next year will be our last payment, so we will, and the payment's over 500,000. It's not 400, but we don't have a ton of that fund, so want to make sure we have enough for the last year payment and not paying it all on the tax rate.
Which is great. So because we approved that, council approved that in what, 2009 we started
I think it was
roadway
2009.
impact fees?
The bond was issued in.
Yeah.
So those impact
Yeah.
fees have really
Really helped.
assisted for all those three of those projects. Park dedication fees has been growing, and we'll have over $1 million at the end of this year, so we are transferring $1.1 million from park dedication fees for the construction of the rec center. Anything that's in the park master plan is eligible to use park dedication fees, and the rec center, I think, was number one on their park master plan, right? Or one of them. right?
Yeah, it was
Top
up there.
10 for sure.
Yeah, it's definitely top 10, so transferring that. Just taking them in. The street maintenance fund. Anticipated to start the year around 710,000, because we won't have those light on Avenue G constructed yet. We open those bids next week.
Next week.
So we'll have better numbers and probably tweak this before your 20th meeting when we get the true number of construction of that light. Don't know how quickly, I don't think, it won't be done before September 30th, so it'll need going through, but.
Yeah.
So that is your street maintenance fund. Capital wise, it doesn't have anything in it this next year except for that light. RDC, it has some capital needs. The park maintenance facility, we've been budgeting that the last few years. But we needed the rec center to kick off first because there's water and sewer needs to get done in order to construct that park maintenance facility. The fishing pier restore grant, that is underway. There's a shade for the splash pad, a mower for the ball fields, and some new amenities at the skate park for beginners.
Can we get a shade on the bench at the dog park in Roberts Point Park?
Yeah, we'll work on that.
That's not a big expense, but I've had multiple people ask me that.
I have never looked at it because it's so new. I just assumed it was perfect, but
The dog park.
I think there are a million compliments, but that's the one thing that I've had people say, I love it, but it's real hot out there when I'm walking the dog. And they would like to sit on the bench and have a little bit of shade. I don't know how much shade it's gonna give them,
Sitting on it.
but there's no shade on the benches that are in the new, in the new parking area. There's not even really shade anywhere in that little new dog park, but particularly if you're gonna sit there and let your dog run around.
The Harbor Dog Park.
Yes.
Yeah.
Even if it's just kind of like what they have on the RTA benches, the nicer RTA benches in town.
I actually just got an estimate on one of those. Fabric.
Or you could just get some of those spider tents that are at the beach every day, leftovers, prop that up. for free.
one.
Umbrellas, I'll duct tape some
Yeah.
umbrellas for the time.
Sorry, I
Yeah.
didn't throw that in there, but I just.
Or the windows
thought about
are
it
bad.
when I was down the harbor.
We'll look at it.
Okay.
Gas. When you look at gas, it's scary because it looks like it's definitely dipping well into reserves. But the reason of this is those new services that came on post Harvey to tie into the new system that's being put in. And that number's in this budget at about 857,000. We still are going after FEMA for those funds, and the Del Sol team feels that that's a very strong possibility that we're gonna get that. So not to panic on that number looking the way it looks. And then the sanitation fund is coming along and has become more sustainable. And I think it's looking really good now. And the increase in the fund, the things that we've done now are assisting. And I know there was talk at the council goals workshop about charging a different rate to STR commercial properties that are residences, but charging them more of a commercial rate. We would not be paying the public the commercial rate because it is residential trash and they differentiate between the two. But if you're interested in looking at that revenue adjustment, I did not dial in that revenue adjustment like I did the STR revenue adjustment to this budget. So that would include
So the
it even
difference
more.
between last year and this year is just the new services?
Yeah, we've already billed 1.7 million this year.
Right.
And we still have like much left, but we went up towards the end of the year, and I looked at what that increase
Okay.
was and extrapolated that out to 12 months, and we have more residences too. That's where that increase came. And those are all of your funds. We are required now to put the property tax calculation worksheet in there, so you can look at that, that's fun. You can go through and do the math, people love doing those. So that's in there, and then there's a listing of capital behind the capital and personnel by department costs in there. Anything I want to talk about? We can just-
Can we order a new street sweeper for 2026, 27? I think about the Vector truck, like, I feel like we ordered it 10 years ago. And I think about every time Daniel needs an ambulance or a fire truck. And so some of those things, right, I feel like they take so long to get, and the street sweeper is, we're gonna need a new one sometime. I'm not
They're
saying we have to
they're
order
not
this
as
budget,
bad,
but I'm just,
that's a quicker bill.
yeah.
Ambulances, they're crazy.
Fire trucks, ambulances.
Yeah, it seems like.
I think sweepers are more common.
Oh, yeah, they're way more.
3 years.
Right.
Instead of 4. When I first started doing this.
Yeah, 4 miles. We wanted-
How many?
Can we get the
When
four
I
samples?
first started.
You can get one that quick.
90 days was the first one I ordered.
Because they were sitting,
And we get it by the
or
time
with
we
very
get it.
little, they just had to.
Give you a check.
COVID is what completely messed up the auto industry. And then,
Just think about all these things that
Yeah.
we spend money on, which is great, and but then you're like, well, we didn't spend it this year, so we'll put it next year. We didn't spend it this year.
Prior to COVID, how long did it take to get an ambulance?
right before Harvey, I think we got one and it was,
Under a year.
I was gonna say right around a year or something like that. But like I said, when I first started, our first one I ordered, it was 90 days. But now, almost 3 years.
Oh, that's crazy. Okay, well, we're gonna have lots of new stuff next year.
No.
So we will bring back an agenda item to the STRPs all by itself. We'll also put back on the agenda David's salary adjustment. Hot tax, I got information on how to change those. We'll put the EMS person in and see what it looks like. Leave the airport as it is. We're gonna email Corpus to see if they have any response on those permits.
Well, yeah, the contract agreement also.
Way back here.
Oh, yeah, then we're gonna do,
Okay.
as soon as we're done here, we got one last
Yeah,
item,
yeah.
just a quick insurance item.
Oh, yeah, we've got a couple items. Which I think we have two.
Two or one?
Just one? I thought there was two. Okay, just one.
Okay, so any other changes, questions regarding budget? Okay,
Uh-oh.
all right. Moving on to item G, resolution awarding request for proposal RFP 2025-08 for employee insurance for group medical, dental, vision, and group life insurance for period beginning October 1, 2025 through September 30th, 2026. Reserving the right to extend the contracts for additional one-year periods as it deems to be in the best interest of the city, and authorizing the city manager to execute all documents related to said agreement.
So we went out for an RFP for health, dental, and vision insurance. We've been with Blue Cross the last 3 years. This is our third year of being with Blue Cross. And Blue Cross came in quite high, a big increase to what we currently have. But United Healthcare came in with the savings below what we have now. They did can have about 126,000 overall savings to the city. With United Healthcare. And that is what's
Similar
solved the
benefits?
budget. Similar benefits. It's a plan that is almost mirrors.
Mirrors it almost exactly.
No, that's good, because that's always the
Yes. we did
scary
not
part, is
have
you
to
go
get
through all
rid of
that, and then
For 1 or 2 years. So
Yeah,
they get
they're-
your data.
Yeah, the formulary United Healthcare has on drugs, I will say, is a little stricter than Blue Cross. But, that just depends on what you take, and you can't tell until, I know when we were with, them before, or so like a Nexium, they would never cover it. But Blue Cross did.
sometimes they love CVS, sometimes they go.
Yes, this
bounce
does-
around
Hopefully they
between-
do again.
Now we have to go to HEB that do not like CVS, which is very inconvenient to anybody that goes in Port A. United Healthcare uses CVS.
Well, that's
I like
close.
going to.
You do you, boo.
Okay, but
But a lot of people do not like going to HEB.
Just turn them into
Most everybody shops at
All right. He's the chef, Okay, all right, we have a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion to approve awarding RFP for fully insured group medical insurance, fully insured group dental insurance, and fully insured group vision insurance beginning October the 1st, 2025 to September 30th. Is that supposed to be 2026 right there?
Yeah.
2026 to, one right here, Texas Health Benefits, is that correct? UHC, sorry.
I'll second.
All right, any further discussions? Hearing none, Fran, please call the roll.
Councilmember
Yes.
Chambers.
Yes.
Councilmember Cruiser.
You said me?
Councilmember-
Yes.
Sorry. Councilmember Owen.
yes.
Councilmember Schneider.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Crawford.
Yes.
Mayor Moore.
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right, so item 6 is city council comments and items for future consideration.
Thank you, Darla.
We're adjourned. Thank you, Darla. Great work for everyone. It's a lot of work. I know everyone has to go in and pencil